So today I wanted to speak more about what happens when you experience difficulty or discomfort or unsettle in the therapeutic relationship. And I am trying to consolidate what I know as a client myself over the number of years who has worked with many different therapists, and also as a therapist who has the fortune of working long term with clients. So I think the first thing that one needs to think about as a client is, when does this experience of feeling uncomfortable or unsettled happen? If it's right at the beginning of the process, then it might be a place to consider if this is a good match for you, if the ways in which the therapeutic process is unfolding meets your needs, makes you feel safe. Maybe taking a pause and exploring how you're feeling with your therapist and see how they respond to you, if they're willing to make some adaptations to support a way to be with you. See if there's anything possible from that exploration. It's very uncomfortable to bring something up, especially if you have never been in therapy before or you don't know how to express yourself. And in those moments, I encourage you to write a few things down, be descriptive about what you're noticing, and make space for expressing some of that. And this might be important not only for your therapist to get a sense of you and your needs, but also a role development for you where you can start speaking with authority and agency on what is supportive. So even if it doesn't really go very well, you would have learned something through that process. The second aspect of when unsettled happens is when you've been with a therapist for a number of years and you feel like there's a repetition of things that you're working through. Over a length of time, you feel like nothing new is emerging for you, and there's a certain kind of comfort that has seeped into the relationship between you and your therapist. Sometimes it might be that the processes that are being offered are repetitive and you're somehow waiting for time to pass, or you even have a sense of predictability. And this is another place where it's important to consider if your goals and needs from this therapist has been met, and perhaps it's a sign for you to explore either if they can offer you something different, or maybe another modality or way of being, or maybe taking some of what you've learned into other settings like groups or a couple might be more supportive. So that could be another place. And here I really value very clear, direct, transparent discussion, what's coming up for me and what I'm looking for, and really finding a way to transition through the process. It's an honoring of time, both for you and for your therapist in that relational space. The other aspect that does come up is if we at any stage in the process start to notice a really strong emotions come up. And this could be, familiar emotions of, let's say, guilt, helplessness, or feeling like you need to protect your therapist. You shouldn't be crying in the sessions. And lots of shoulds and coulds come up. And it doesn't matter the length of time that you're working with this therapist for. This is really important to work with them through their processes, because this means that certain relational themes are coming up. And in fact, avoidance or moving out or disappearing may not actually be supportive. Exploring what is similar to this way of being for you with maybe other relationships that you've had or early attachment figures. So teasing some of that out might be more meaningfully done here, even though it is sometimes obviously not comfortable, but trusting that your therapist is being supported through their own work and supervision might be useful to do for yourself. I hope this process of discerning what to do in facing some of these contexts is useful for you as a client. And if you have any other questions for me, either as a client who is considering therapeutic process or as a therapist who has been in the field and is noticing certain aspects emerge for yourself. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel.